You turn my morning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love. Something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. Changes everything. Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 Something about your love. Something about your love changes everything.
Good morning, Rooted Men. Always a little weird when the screen goes black after the video plays, and I wonder, is it coming back on? But it appears like it did. So it's nice to be with you this morning. We have a few people with us so far. We have Ken Gooch, and we have Chris Connolly, and me, and Bert Reggiani, and Glenn. Hey, Glenn. All right. So that's quite a few, actually, isn't it? That's pretty good to see. And it says 9. And I named off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 of you are being sneaky. It's okay. You're allowed to be sneaky, I guess. It's all right. We just love to talk and love to chat. Today's scripture is going to be kind of fun because you can see a true, what do you call it? You can see a true similarity to today in this scripture, which is ironic, but it's human nature, I think, is probably the biggest part of it. We're going to be looking at Mark 9:38 through 41. It talks about Jesus and his disciples and well, you know what? Why should I do that when I should just go right into it? It's probably the best way to do it. It starts out with Mark 9:38, where it says, "Teacher," said John, "we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we told him to stop because he was not one of us." And I think you can relate to this one. How many people have thought, I can't do that. That's the pastor's job. I had a person once tell me that, pastor has to do these certain things or it doesn't count. Jesus told us we're the priesthood of all believers. Why does the church put up roadblocks? Why does the church stop us from doing things like that? So do we believe that you have to have the correct credentials to do ministry work? Do we feel, some people feel I can't do communion or baptism, and in your church may feel that way just because they don't want the sacrament changed because you get a different pair of hands on it. But the rest of the work we can do, and we should do, and we're probably, and Jesus kind of asked us to do it. But we remember these disciples. Okay, we remember the disciples have been kind of struggling with their identity a little bit. They argued who would be the greatest. Their status is important. I think in Luke 22. Let me see if I got that here. I know I do. Right? It also reads like a dispute also arose among them as to which of them considered the greatest. Jesus said to them, "The king of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who exercise authority over them call themselves benefactors. But you are not to be like that. Instead, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves us? It is not the one who's at the table, but I am among you as one who serves." Jesus considered himself to be one of those that serve. We put value in education, and we put value in the calling of a pastor, and as it should be. He is our leader and our teacher, but that shouldn't stop us from doing some of God's work. And then in 39, I got this. Holy mackerel, what am I doing? All right, hold on a second. I'm sometimes think I'm never going to be any good at this. All right, in verse 39, it says, "Do not stop them," Jesus said, "for no one who does a miracle in my name can in the next moment say anything bad about me." How many of us felt that way? And then he goes on to say, "For whoever is not against us is for us." Where have we heard that before? So then I looked. I says, let me see if we can find that anywhere else, right? And didn't have to look far. Matthew 12:30, whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. I love the word scatters. Because not only is he not doing the work, and he's chasing off opportunities. The cool part is the disciples were caught up. I think it was funny. They aren't that much different than a lot of the Old Testament people. I mean, even as far back as Moses, they had this problem. And I found it in Numbers. All right, and I'm going to read this because it's so relevant to what we're doing in this scripture. It says, however, 2 men whose names were Eldad and Medad had remained in the camp. They were listed among the elders, but did not go out to the tent. Yet the Spirit also rested on them, and they prophesied in the camp. The young man ran and told Moses, Edad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. Joshua, son of Nun, who had been Moses' aide since youth, spoke up and said, Moses, my Lord, stop them. But Moses replied, are you jealous for my sake? I wish all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his Spirit on them. Then Moses and the elders of Israel returned to the camp. Wow. Mm-hmm. That kind of tells you something. And then Paul and his journeys. Ran across it in the book of Philippians on 1:15-18. I know I'm reading a lot of scripture here, but it seems so relevant to today's passages. Paul wrote in Philippians, is it true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill? The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am put here for defense of the gospel. The former preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they could stir up trouble for me while I'm in chains. But what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. Mm-hmm. And because of this, I rejoice. Yes, I will continue to rejoice. All right, so Paul's kind of, I think in today's language, we might be troubled by that a little bit. He's saying Christ being preached is the most important thing, and motivation doesn't matter. But we look at that and we think, well, but motivation is different. It shouldn't change the message, and that's what Paul's trying to say. The message still remains the same, no matter our motivation. Now, Paul also warns us of false teachers who, through their motivation, can change it a little bit to attract people, and we have to be careful that we don't allow that, because that is not what we were asked to do. And finally, let's go back to the scripture in verse 41. It says, truly I tell you, anyone who gives you a cup of water in my name, because you belong to me, the Messiah, anyone who gives you a cup of water in my name, because you belong to the Messiah, will certainly not lose their reward. Jesus is talking about a reward. I don't know how many times I've heard this preached where it, I'm going to pull this down. I don't think we need this up anymore. Oh, I got really small. Okay. Let's go back to a normal screen where I can I want to see me. No, that's trust me. It's not. What is the reward he speaks of? You ever wonder that? We ever say, do we put an earthly definition on this word? What are the most valuable things in your life? What do you hold closest? Now, if it's money, I'd be willing to bet you that's not what he's talking about. or if it's fancy cars or big houses or swimming pools or beaches. We have to remember that those things aren't going to matter as much in heaven. So what is this reward that he's speaking of? It's a curious thing. I think about the most valuable things in my life, and none of them are worth a dime. I have a picture in my garage that my kids drew when they were little, and it's basically they took a piece of plywood and they drew roads on it and grass and houses, and then they used to drive their cars on the roads, the little play cars. And I hung it up in my garage because I couldn't bear part with it. Sometimes we think that reward is a chest full of gold, when it really, all that gold is right in our hands already, and we don't even realize it. The memories we have with our families. Oh man, there's so many time with family, close friends. Mm-hmm. Little things. I mean, it doesn't have to be the big thing. The smell of homemade bread. Who doesn't love that? Or how about the laughter of a child? I'll sit and watch videos for 20 minutes sometimes on a little kids laughing and playing, and and it just I love that stuff. It's just, to me, those are the greatest sounds in the world. When you have that in your building and you have that in your church, you have all you need. So if we know God, I think we know God, I think we can be pretty safe in assuming that the rewards he speaks of aren't riches and wealth and comfort and cars and whatever. It's the greater things. It's the things that make us smile, the things that warm our heart. Jesus talks about somebody giving him a cup of water in his name, or maybe lift a reaching hand to help somebody out. And I always think that they aren't what saves us, but they come out of us because we are saved. I mean, and it's such a, I know it sounds like some cliche phrase, but the thing is that when we are saved and we understand that we're saved, we do these things without thinking about it. We do these things because our heart's on fire, and we want to be that person. I hope this is a blessing to you today. I really enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun, a lot of cross references and stuff like that. Let's see who else showed up this morning. Good morning, Isaac. I hope.
Isaac?
Maybe Isaac. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. How about Tom Donnelly? How you doing, buddy? Very nice to see you here this morning. Okay. I think that's everybody. Other than, okay, it says 12 people up here in this top corner right there. And that's pretty cool. That's really cool. It's nice to see it. That it's growing. Need more of you to talk. But, oh, wait, I missed one. I'm sorry, Brian. I didn't see you there. You were the first one to comment after I quit. All right. Well, I think I'm done. Might have been done a few minutes ago, but I'm done now for sure. All right. Thanks, Brian. Thanks. You're perfect. All right. Have a firmly rooted day, guys, and may someone see Jesus in you. Maybe somebody different today. Somebody you don't know. Peace.